Damascus, the ancient heart of Syria, fell. Rebel forces, a diverse coalition forged in the fires of revolution, stormed the city. They overcame the last vestiges of Bashar al-Assad's grip on power. The fall was swift, the culmination of years of brutal conflict and relentless resistance. Assad, once seemingly invincible, saw his regime crumble. The man who inherited a nation from his father was now left with nothing. The seeds of this momentous event were sown years earlier. The Arab Spring, a wave of popular uprisings that swept across the Middle East, ignited the Syrian people's desire for change. Peaceful protests demanding greater freedoms were met with brutal repression. This ignited an armed rebellion. The conflict escalated, drawing in regional and international actors. It transformed into a multifaceted war that tore the nation apart. The fall of Damascus was not a single event but a cascade. It was a series of strategic victories by the rebels. Key military installations fell, one after another. Supply lines were cut. Assad's forces, demoralized and depleted, were overwhelmed. The final blow came with the capture of the presidential palace. It was a symbolic victory, signifying the end of an era. The world watched in astonishment as images of rebel fighters celebrating in the streets of Damascus were beamed across the globe. The Assad dynasty, which had ruled Syria with an iron fist for over 4 decades, was no more. The implications of this seismic shift in power were felt far beyond Syria's borders. It signaled the start of a new chapter, fraught with both promise and peril. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment below. The fall of Assad's regime triggered a wave of euphoria among Syrians who had endured years of oppression and bloodshed. In the streets of Damascus and other liberated cities, people danced, sang, and wept tears of joy. The yearning for freedom and dignity, brutally suppressed for so long, found its voice. For many, it was a dream come true, the dawn of a new era. Yet amidst the celebrations, a sense of apprehension lingered. The cost of victory had been immense. Years of conflict had shattered the nation, leaving its social fabric in tatters. Millions were displaced, their homes reduced to rubble. The scars of war ran deep, both on the landscape and in the hearts of the people. The international community reacted with a mixture of relief and anxiety. Western powers, long critical of Assad's brutal rule, welcomed his downfall. They saw it as an opportunity to reshape the region's geopolitical landscape. However, concerns remained about the potential for further instability and the rise of extremist groups in the power vacuum. The fall of Assad was a watershed moment, but it was not the end of the story. It marked the beginning of a new and uncertain chapter. The path ahead was fraught with challenges. Rebuilding a shattered nation and healing the wounds of war would require immense effort and unwavering commitment from both Syrians and the international community. The fall of Assad did not usher in an era of peace and unity. Instead, it exposed the deep fissures that had fractured Syrian society. The country found itself at a crossroads, facing a multitude of challenges that threatened to plunge it deeper into chaos. The most pressing issue was the presence of numerous armed groups, each with its own agenda and allegiances. The revolution, initially united in its opposition to Assad, had splintered into a complex web of factions. These factions, often with competing interests, turned their guns on each other. Adding to the complexity was the rise of extremist groups. They exploited the chaos to seize territory and expand their influence. The Islamic State, a brutal jihadist organization, emerged as a major threat, not only to Syria, but to the entire region. The task of rebuilding Syria from the ashes of war was daunting. The country's infrastructure lay in ruins. The economy was in shambles. Millions were displaced, both internally and externally. The social fabric, torn apart by years of violence and sectarian strife, needed mending. The path forward was perilous, demanding a delicate balancing act. It required addressing the root causes of the conflict while simultaneously confronting the immediate threats to security and stability. Failure to do so risked further fragmentation, prolonging the suffering of the Syrian people and destabilizing the entire region. Section 4, Power Vacuum. Regional players vie for influence. The collapse of Assad's regime created a power vacuum in Syria, drawing in regional actors eager to shape the country's future to serve their interests. This geopolitical chess game added another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. Iran, a longtime ally of Assad, saw its influence threatened. It sought to maintain its strategic foothold in Syria, primarily to protect its interests in Lebanon and its access to Hezbollah. Tehran provided significant support to pro-government militias, further fueling the conflict. Turkey, initially supportive of the Syrian uprising, found itself increasingly concerned with the growing influence of Kurdish groups in northern Syria. Ankara viewed these groups as a threat to its own security and launched military incursions to counter their expansion. Russia, eager to reassert itself as a major player in the Middle East, seized the opportunity to bolster its presence in the region. Moscow provided crucial military support to Assad, turning the tide of the war in his favor. In doing so, it secured its naval base in Tartus, a strategic asset in the eastern Mediterranean. The involvement of these regional powers, each pursuing its own agenda, exacerbated the conflict and complicated efforts to find a political solution. Their actions often undermined international peace initiatives, prolonging the suffering of the Syrian people and threatening to turn the country into a battleground for proxy wars. Section 5. Charting a new course. Navigating the post-Assad era. The fall of Bashar al-Assad marked a turning point in Syria's history, but it did not herald the end of the country's turmoil. The path ahead remained fraught with challenges, demanding a concerted effort from both Syrians and the international community to navigate the complexities of the post-Assad era. Reconciliation and rebuilding were paramount. Healing the wounds of war, both physical and psychological, was essential for a sustainable peace. This required addressing the root causes of the conflict, including political disenfranchisement, economic inequality, and sectarian tensions. Establishing a representative and inclusive government was crucial. This meant ensuring the participation of all segments of Syrian society in the political process. It also meant addressing the grievances of minority groups and providing guarantees for their safety and rights. The international community had a vital role to play in supporting Syria's transition. This included providing humanitarian assistance to those in need, promoting dialogue and reconciliation among different factions, and assisting in the reconstruction effort. The road ahead for Syria was long and arduous. However, amidst the ruins and despair, a glimmer of hope remained. The Syrian people, known for their resilience and determination, yearned for peace and a better future. With sustained commitment and collaboration, it was possible to build a new Syria, one based on justice, equality, and dignity for all.